thing. And he said, yeah, he said that's where he runs his settings at. He said now sometimes, like he said, bigger games, like he said Battlefield 1, it'll drop a little bit. I said, well, could you tell? And he said, well, he's been gaming on PC for years. But hold on, let me turn that over here down. I was just checking the sound. So and there we go. Okay. So but yeah, I told him, he said, yeah, in 1440p 60, he said that's what like 90% of the people on PC are at, you know. So
exactly.
You know, he said everybody that he knows play. I said, well, can it play Star Citizen? He said, yeah, it can play it at medium. He said, you can play Star Citizen on this PC on medium. He said, but yeah, you would need more RAM, and he said he would even go with a low-end i7 for Star Citizen. You know, he said don't have to be the top line or anything like that. So, but all right, I guess we'll go ahead and get started here. We've been running around. So, all right, y'all, this is the PorchLYTE podcast. So, Kratos, the rules are almost the same. It's a faster podcast, so we'll move kind of brisk. I did forget to email you the subjects, though. Of course, the big one, you know, the juicy one is the Crackdown 3 fuckery is what I call it, you know. So, you know, the PS4.5, because now it's starting to get out that the PS4 Sony just do another iteration of the Pro, and we can go into the Xbox Civil War, because what you tweeted me earlier about what people were saying was I had no idea that was happening. I was off today. You know, I didn't realize it was that.
It started yesterday, and the day it started Saturday, so it just kind of bled over into today. And I think it's just the roof's falling in. So
yeah, and so we'll definitely get into it. We can talk some Comic-Con if you want to. I don't know if you saw those movie trailers or not. Didn't know if any of them kind of tickled your fancy, but we'll start with the. I'll get your opinion on the. I don't know if you've read the articles here about I got it from Engadget. Here, the link is in the description for the folks that are listening, and we'll hear this later on. But first things first, Kratos. My goodness, bro, I forgot all about introductions, brother. Go ahead and introduce yourself. I got all giddy.
Oh, it's all good, man. Hey, everybody, it's your boy J-Dub, a.k.a. KRATO'S, the god of PlayStation. Again, rocking out with my man Craig. And, you know, this is the PorchLYTE edition, the late night grown and sexy edition of the podcast.
Yeah, because when I was a kid, when the PorchLYTE came on, that your mama meant you need to get your ass over to the house. So so I always do this one at dawn. Well, I guess it'd be dusk. It's getting dark, or it's darker, or something like that. I just kind of came up with this one evening. I was called the PorchLYTE. So yeah, but shout out to you, Savage Uger. We see you in there, and H player 247. See you, buddy. So but let me go ahead and we'll get into it. Now this one's a little more mature. We can it's after the FCC has cleared us. It's after 7 o'clock in the evening Eastern time. So we can go ahead. We'll be a little bit looser on the tongue on this one. It's cool. Generally I frown on that, especially in the afternoon, because there's younger ears may be listening. So, but this is a little more looser, and we'll call some people's names out if you feel like it, not in a negative way. We'll give them a shout out first. It'll be people that have been on the podcast or have made comments in your section or my section, the comment section there, or you know, you recognize your name from chat. But we'll start with the PS4.5 because Engadget is reporting that Sony very well may do just another mid-gen trade, possibly. And now if Sony goes this route, what do you see them possibly doing? What do you see them hardware-wise going with in another Pro, if you want to call it that?
Well, see, here's the thing. I think it's been taken out of content. You think about it. You know, the vanilla PlayStation 4 had 1.86 teraflops, and then the Pro doubled that and did the 4.2 teraflops. Well, the next iteration is definitely, I mean, if you double that, just like they did with the with the Pro, if you double that, then that's what? That's going to be 8.4 teraflops.
Yeah.
So
8.4.
that's right around what Mark Cerny said it took to do a 4K uncompromised native 4K 60 every game. That's what he said that it took. So yeah, I don't see why. I don't think it's a half step or a half anything. It's just the next iteration. And here's the thing, okay, consoles will always, and even PCs will always be handicapped by Moore's law. What more could they put into that console that that would do, anything that the PC can't do? Right now, I'll tell you, my PlayStation 4 Pro does, 85 to 90% of what my 16 teraflop GPU gaming rig do.
Right.
For those of you guys in the chat or whatever, I have the Radeon Pro Duo, last year's version, not this year's version. This year's a little bit they slimmed it down and they didn't make it as beefier. But my card is 16 teraflops. And it's a dual GPU card. So again, I use it mostly for all my VR content and all my virtual racing and stuff like that. It can do 4K 60 uncompromised max to the core. It can do 8K. A matter of fact, it can do 12K. So what you have to do is get four, the surround sound setting. So you get 3 4K monitors, 1 in the middle and 2 on the sides. And I would normally use those for racing. But once VR came out, it was just a waste. Once you go VR, you just can't go back in a lot of the games that I've played. So I think, for the cost versus performance analysis, I think, yes, going with whatever specs it would take to get 8.4 teraflops in there, I think, that's what it is. One thing about it, Craig, is companies should never overdo something. You want to do just enough to hit that plateau for that cheapest price. So yes, they can go in and throw an i7 Intel CPU in there, but the cost benefit of it is going to be astronomical. You're going to be spending, close to $1,000 to $1,200 for that console. They know nobody's going to buy that, or very little people. So what they want to do is get the most performance they can out of it at a specific price point. And that's why I think they did with the PlayStation 4 Pro at $399. I think Sony has learned a lot from the past, the previous generation, with the PlayStation 3 being launched at $599. I think they learned a lot from that. And so the magic price point is $399. I think that's the max you can launch any console in this day and age.
Yeah, but now with that many teraflops, is $399. What kind of CPU do you think they would use?
Well, I think they're going to go with the Ryzen and Vega. It just makes sense because think about it, Craig. If they're going to launch this PlayStation 5 2 years from now, we've been talking about Ryzen and Vega now for what, a year and a half? That's when the Scorpio was supposed to have it. So think about it. That's going to be pretty. It's not going to be old, but the price on that thing is going to be dramatically smaller. So you would be able to put that in that console then and get it at a dirt cheap price to be able to hit that $399 performance.
Yeah, and they could always overclock it too. We'll have to wait and see. I just I saw that article in Engadget and I'm like, well, I'm sure that here's what I think. I have no idea how a corporation works, but I'm pretty sure it's basically, okay, you're going to have 2 ideas pitched to you. Somebody will say, bring me an iteration of a PlayStation 4.5, so to speak, but I don't want, but it's got to hit a certain rate and be this price. And then somebody else can just go big, say, hey, look here, if you get top of the line stuff, what it would cost. And you think they'll just kind of marry the 2 ideas? Like, it won't be too big, but it'll be big enough, In theory, they could do, I guess they would need over 8 T-flops because 6 T-flops is still giving you checkerboarding and
Yeah.
dynamic resolution.
But
Okay, so
you remember Mark Cerny said that. So he said that, and I guess Microsoft's PR team said we can defy what he said and we can give you 6 and do the same thing, and come to find out they couldn't. So I think 8 for me, 8.4, somewhere in the 8 range would be just enough to give you that boost that you need. But also you got to ask yourself, Craig, what if they gave you 15 teraflops? What would you be gaining out of that you wouldn't get at 10 or 8?
Yeah. I would think at 8. I mean, as far as you've hit a graphic plateau.
Yeah,
if you
diminishing return.
If they're doing 4K textures on the X and all that stuff in high settings and stuff like that at 6, the only thing left to do is to get out pretty much a bigger bat on that CPU. I mean, that has to, and then at that point, okay, do you think that will just, the games won't automatically jailbreak? The CPU has to tell it has that kind of power, right? They have to go back in and tell their game the CPU can be repurposed. Is that how they would allocate the power?
Well, they could allocate it in different, not everything is for resolution or for frames or whatever. Again, obviously the more memory, the more textures and stuff like that can hold in the in the memory, in the faster memory, the faster it can get to the CPU and the GPU and so on and so on. So they can repurpose this thing for whatever. VR would be a good reason to allocate the additional resources. Can you imagine a PlayStation VR 2, one with a higher fidelity, than what's out there now? I know VR hasn't, just lit the world on fire. It's great. I enjoy it. But it's kind of like, you have to weigh the odds, kind of like with the Nintendo Switch. A lot of developers are waiting to see if this thing is going to, last, if people are really interested in before they make games for it. But at the same time, we want the console, but we need the games in order to justify it. So it's almost kind of like a stalemate. And I think, using the resources in other applications would work wonders.
Yeah, I just can't get past. I mean, look, I'm not going to get an Xbox One X, but the Forza, the driving game is impressive.
Yeah,
I mean, we just got to call a spade a spade. You tip your hat, and they're going to do the same thing with Gears 4. I don't know as far as it. Mm-hmm. I don't know what it looks. We haven't seen it yet, but I think all their first party games that get the scrub as far as not being negative, but as far as it being, they ought to be able to get a lot more out of it. We'll get more into that with the Crackdown thing shortly, but let's go ahead and talk about some bad gaming news here out of the Sony camp. Ni no Kuni 2 has been delayed to 18, and you don't hear any spin like that's a good thing. Because it's not a good thing when you got less. But Ni no Kuni 2, of course, big JRPG, very popular, announced during PSX, got a lot of applause. Now, is this a game you would be interested in? Or I know the general, he's probably disappointed in this. I think he was talking about buying it. But is this something that is going to affect? Because it was supposed to come out, I guess, in October. It was going to go up against some bangers, but do you think the delay is a good thing as far as it gets out of the way? Because not having as much out is bad. We're gonna agree to that.
Yeah.
But do you think it's good in the sense that it may be able to have its own breeding room in the spring or in the summer where they plan to?
Yeah, I mean, you can look at this thing two ways. For the guys who are waiting on that game, yeah, they're going to be disappointed. But at the same time, can you imagine if that game did launch right with Call of Duty and the Battlefronts and the rest of those games? No, I mean, nobody's, come on now. We have to be realistic about this. Nobody was going to pick up that game if it was going to get drowned out by the big boom. And that's the holiday season when you got the Call of Duties and all of those big juggernauts of games come out. So it's good pushing that to the springtime, when it's a little bit slower. But when you recall, Craig, the early part of this year, you had a game called Gravity Rush that released. It released like the same week as Final Fantasy 15, Yakuza Zero, and Kingdom Hearts 2.8, and the rest of those. And that game got drowned out. So guess what? If I have $60 and all in one day or 1 week, I'm getting these games, something is going to have to give. I'm going to have to play I'll Take You, I'm going to leave you, and I'll get you later. And Gravity Rush became the game that kind of had to be left out. Not saying that it was a bad game, it was just bad timing. Those are some of the games like that you release in the slower months, like the Junes, the Julys, and stuff like that. Look at Crash Bandicoot. It launched at a perfect time in the summer. That's when you want, when there's not much going on. Everyone's still talking about E3, and kids are out of school. They need something to play. That's what you do. You don't take it and stick it towards the end of the year when people are saying, "Hey, I'm going to buy 4 games, so it has to be the best 4 out there." Well, I'm sorry, but the lesser title known, that's the one that's going to be a casualty.
Yeah. Well, no argument from me on that. I mean, if the game's not ready, it's not ready. I can't buy it until it's on the shelf. But I heard Savage in the chat say he already had it pre-ordered. So, look, Savage, you're going to keep your pre-order, or are you going to cancel your pre-order and get, I don't know, something else like a Star Wars Battlefront or something like that? Speaking of Star Wars Battlefront, that young lady is just looking fine. Every day she looks better.
I hear you, man. I don't, it's crazy. I don't know why Microsoft won't snatch her up. Can you imagine if she's on your dashboard instead of the other guy? What's that guy name? That Xbox guy that's all on your dashboard, Major Nelson or whatever.
Yeah, Major Nelson. Yeah,
I had his pink slip in a minute for her.
Yeah, and she's active on Twitter. If you ask her questions, she will get back to you because like direct. It wasn't like a group thing. It was a tweet. She actually sent it to me. I was like, hey. So yeah, but she seems pretty cool, very knowledgeable, very excited. I think she's also in Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
Or something like that. She's in Game of Thrones. So everybody check that out. I've never watched Game of Thrones. To me, it sounds like you're choosing a toilet to sit on. It will sit on the throne. But a very popular series. I know that. Just kidding. This kidding. I know a lot of people watch Game of Thrones. So, but yeah, let me ask you about a Comic-Con real quick. Did you see? I know you took some days off. Were you able to see anything that you just said, "Wow, I got to get my ticket for that ASAP," or was just kind of like, what'd you think?
Well, man, that Black Panther is still. To me, is the hottest thing I've seen, and I'm waiting, man. That game, I mean that movie, it's gonna sell, and I'm just gonna predict this now. It should sell more than Wonder Woman and Batman versus Superman. It should by a lot.
So $1 billion.
Yeah,
you're thinking over 900 million.
Yeah,
total.
I'm thinking $1 billion, man. I'm thinking that's $1 billion movie.
Yeah.
They got some big hitters in there, man. Yeah.
Yeah, they show more footage. It hasn't leaked yet. I mean, the footage they showed at Comic-Con. But just for everybody who's out there looking for more information, there's another trailer that they dropped at Comic-Con. And people came out of there. Now I watched the on my Facebook page. Shout out to Facebook, the Comic-Con, the Q&A they did with Ryan. They had Ryan Coogler, Forrest Whitaker, Chadwick Boseman, Andy Serkis. They had everybody up there.
Yeah.
From that movie. Everybody looks good. Fun, strong black cast. Yeah, I gotta stay alive for that one.
My wife.
Yeah.
I hear you. My wife saw that trailer, man. She was like, "Man, I need to look up online right now. I want to be in that movie. I got to represent in that movie." So I told my wife, "Yeah, maybe they're doing some casting call for the next movie. Maybe not this one."
I tell you what, of course, we all saw the tease trailer, but that car chase scene, the trailer they showed at Comic-Con was the longer version on what actually happens and how that scene sets up You know, I'm not gonna give it away, but because some of that will get out. And I told a friend of mine, look, it's got to a point now where I don't want to know too much more about it. I just want to know when the tickets go on sale, which, folks, I did find out should be January 14th. Tickets will go on sale for that movie. So buy them as soon as your Fandango opens up, bam, take off. Go ahead and get 2 or 3 tickets. So
exactly.
Yeah. Now, did you see the Thor Ragnarok trailer?
I did, and I tell you, man, it's just crazy because the best part that I saw that really kind of had me hyped for it was when the Hulk, he's finna credit when the Hulk came out, and I was like, oh man, Thor was sitting there, they said, you finna get tore by the beast, and they let him out. He's like, it's basically it was his coworker.
It's my coworker. Yeah.
Dude, I couldn't help but laugh on that. But it looks like it's gonna be a damn good movie, man. So, I think it's that golden age of comic movies. It made a resurgence, and I'm glad it's for the good. You notice we're getting good comic movies. Back in the day, man, they would release one, it would bomb, and like that was it. Nobody ever wanted to tackle that genre again. But at least now they have comic creators. They had during the Spider-Man movie, they had the guy, the character, the real life guy who created that. I forgot his name. Was it Stan? Yeah, Stan Lee. He had a couple of cameos in that movie, and I thought that was awesome to pay that homage to him. And he just passed recently, right? Or who's that?
No, his wife.
His wife.
The public opening of Spider-Man. Now, Stan Lee has had a cameo in every MCU movie. It's for people that don't. Yeah, he's been in all of them at some point. There's some people who speculated he's one of the quote unquote watchers. Because you had the
Watchmen.
Yeah, you had like the Dark Celestials. He had the Celestials, and the next created being were the Watchers and the Titans. And that's what Thanos and Dormammu, the guy at the end of Doctor Strange, he's a Titan. Those are Titans. But what did you think of? Did you see the Justice League trailer, and what did you think about it?
I did. I thought. Well, see, I don't want to sound down. I thought it was okay. I don't know, man. It just didn't grab me the way the other movies did, and I don't know. Maybe Marvel, the guys that do Marvel stuff, is just a little bit more talented. You think?
Yeah, well, and they've been doing it a little bit longer. DC, I thought, finally got it right with Wonder Woman, because let's start to finish. Well, I didn't care. Spoiler alert: I didn't care for the end when she was at the end when she jumped off the building and was just kind of flying through the air, and it was showing her in slow motion. I was like, well, the rest of the movie was a 99, but I give her one slip.
Well, I tell you this: if Wonder Woman would have bombed, that probably would have been the end of the whole deal with from that angle with DC. It only takes a couple of movies to bomb, man.
Yeah. Well, and then they destroyed a lot of momentum with the whole news of Ben Affleck possibly wanting out. So and of DC. But all right, we'll move on. That's again the PorchLYTE podcast, folks. We're gonna be talking about different stuff, but I got you. Everybody's like, OBJ is talking about show DC some love, J-Dub, because that Justice League looked lit. Yeah, I agree. I didn't have an issue with what it looked like, and I love the way when the Flash moves, how he creates a gravity well. That's new.
Yeah,
that's something they just.
I'm interested in Cyborg's his whole get up looks really cool. I don't know, maybe I need to see more of it. I think maybe they could have
that gravity well he left I thought was cool. That was actually pretty cool.
But when I'm trying to compare the two, just like I gave you the skit of how it was funny to see Thor and the Hulk. When he said, "Hey, it's my friend from work, my coworker, whatever," that just had me from there. Then I was all hyped for the rest of the movie. Yeah. Well, I still don't really know the whole get up with the Justice League. Obviously, I knew from, you know, Batman versus Superman, then Wonder Woman. I know a little bit more, but I'm ready for this to. I don't know, man. Maybe I need something personally, and it's just my opinion, to tie it all together real quick. But I don't know, man.
Yeah, well,
I'm gonna watch it. I'm definitely watching it.
Yeah, well, in Batman versus Superman, the dream that Bruce Wayne had, where he was captured by Superman's people, well, he was actually seeing a world where Superman just kind of gave up, and then they invaded. Darkseid and Steppenwolf invaded. So he's seen that world. Then when he had that other dream in front of the computer where the Flash reached for him and said, "You got to find us," he was telling him to find these other people.
Yeah,
to start putting everything together. That's kind of the connecting thread. Now, with that said, Batman versus Superman, I've said before, that was a heap and pile of trash. I mean, I did like the director's cut. I thought that was better. It was even. It was a little more even-handed. But that thing that came out in the theater, I thought that was trash. I mean, it's just, you know, Batman can't beat Superman in no fight. I mean, it was stupid, you know.
Yeah.
But besides that, that's what they were talking about. You know, it's just kind of your connecting piece. And of course, they had Wonder Woman in it. So, you know, so her part was cool. But let's move to this. Well, we were talking about the reason why I brought up the movies and stuff like that in Comic-Con is because one of the things, there were 2 games shown at Comic-Con. One of them was Spider-Man. Of course, they show Insomniac had more Spider-Man footage, but that's kind of gone under the radar. For some reason, Microsoft was there with another game
exactly
called Crackdown 3. So now we're going to get into the fuckery of Crackdown 3. Now, all right. Now, Kratos, you're on record. You're going to buy an Xbox X, okay?
I am.
So this game is coming out, I think it's a launch game. I think it's a day of title.
Yep.
So based on what you have been able, I know you just come back, you know, like you said, you took a few days off there. Shout out to Iron Wolf. Check out Kratos and Iron Wolf on the Greatness podcast. They had some real good topics, and I was in there raising Cain and stuff like that with them, so it was fun. But let me ask you this, because I've been at work. I was at work. I worked Sunday, you know, so I didn't know what was going on. You said stuff started happening Saturday. Of course, that was Comic-Con's big day with Saturday. How everything kind of collates here.
Yeah.
What exactly is going on with this game? Because to me, let me just tell you what I think really fast. I said this earlier. I think what we have seen is not the Xbox X version. I think we've been looking at the Xbox One, you know, the Xbox One S or Xbox One version. Now, with that said, what I have seen looks like trash. I mean, it looks like garbage. So, you know, so to you, what are you seeing? And have you heard anything? And this is going to be at Gamers.com next month in a few weeks. So, just take it from the top there, my brother.
Okay, the psychology behind this, and here's the thing. This is how you know we're real gamers. When the game looks bad and you kind of know it's bad, but you still hold some ounce of hope that maybe something is just, well, maybe this is the Xbox One edition, or maybe it's just because it's the single player that they show. You know, maybe the multiplayer is going to be a whole different game with all brand new graphics and brand new power and really sell the game. And then and you finally come to the conclusion. Look, these guys, there was a reason E3. This game was supposed to be their showcase game. At E3, they showed 15 to 16 minutes of Sea of Thieves. They showed you 2 minutes of Terry Crews and a bunch of quick passes of the game, and a lot of the stuff was just CG cutscenes of Crackdown, and that's it. So I was already looking at them with the side eye on that. I said, this doesn't look good. They're supposed to spend a lot of time on this game. This was the you know, the coming out of the X. This is the game that this thing was hyped for all these years. And now, you know, reality set in. You know, they showed us the X version. That was the X version that they was demoing it.
Really?
Yeah, it is. It was already confirmed. They had never. Think about it, Craig. Why would they want to? If they have a $500 console they're trying to sell you, they're trying to, you know, tout 6 teraflops, 320 gigabytes of bandwidth, and you know all this memory. Why in the hell would they show you the Xbox One S version? Why? It makes no sense. These guys want. I mean, come on. Now we're just trying to rationalize of why this game looks so bad and why it looks subpar, and it doesn't look like a beast of a game. But the reality, guys, we have to come to terms with this. And I still say that, hey, I'm gonna buy the game just to support the guys and hopes that they make a, you know, part 4, and maybe that's the next generation version that we look forward to. But the reality is it's not about the art style. Look at Zelda. Zelda has the same art style, and that game is one of the most beautiful games I've seen. And that's from a 1 teraflop handheld, underpowered handheld that, you know, by Nintendo out of everything. We've seen Gravity Rush 2. A game looks beautiful. We've seen this type of art style before. There is no coming back from this. I think what happened, the game was struggling, and you know, I don't have the person who said this, but shout out to whoever you are out there, said that this game was going down the tubes, just like Scalebound was. And Microsoft, they couldn't cut anything else because they don't have anything else. So they said, fuck it, we're just gonna roll with it and just release this shit, and then it is what it is. But we can't cancel any more games because they look like dog shit or they play like dog shit. So now you have guys saying, it looks good and it's the art style and it's gonna be fun. And I'm trying to hype myself up for it. But it's like every time I do that, something else will come and just let the air out of the balloon, you know. And shout out to you guys in the chat section. I know you saw all the drunk celebrities playing this game. It's the Microsoft didn't do themselves any favor. They showed the worst people the people who've never played a console in their life, didn't know what the buttons were, where they were, what it does or anything. They let these guys demo this game and showcase this game. Major Nelson should have grabbed that controller, pushed their ass out, and he should have played the game himself, saying, hey guys, this is what you got to this is what you look forward to. This is why you want to buy this game, and play it the proper way. But it's bad enough the game looks ugly, but then giving it to some drunk person who's never played a console and telling them to showcase this game. The lady was looking at the ground, Craig, for like 5 minutes, twisting in circles. I was getting a headache. And so that, that kind of led to some of the biggest fanboys. They finally had to stop fanboying and just said, this doesn't look good. Shout out.
Let me say this. All right. I'm trying to find the words here. I said this a little bit earlier, but there's no way that could have been, dude, that looked like the Destruction Derby game on the PS1 when those cars were piling up on top of each other. I was like, that's what happened in the PS1 Destruction Derby, because you hit a car and it flipped like that.
Yeah. It didn't look
I mean, there's no way that they've been working on that game since what, like late 2012, and that's what you got? Are you sure that was on the Xbox X?
They said it, man, multiple times.
I mean,
look,
oh my god!
Think about it, Craig. Why would Microsoft hide this game at E3? They basically hid the game. I don't care. Just because they brought Terry Crews out, they still hid the game from you. Yeah, shout out to Terry Crews. They did not want you to see that game. They showed you 2 minutes of
Oh.
CG and quick cutscenes. They did not want you to, you know, if I was them, I would have replayed that same trailer back from 2013 of Crackdown or 2014, whatever. I would have showed that same trailer. That trailer looked good. This gameplay looked garbage.
Oh, it's trash. I mean, that looked terrible. When I saw, I'm like, there's no way this is the game. You know, there's just, it can't be. You know, not after. Now, let me ask you this, because I couldn't find it, or maybe I just looked right over it. Is it going to be 4K native, or is it going to use the checkerboarding or dynamic?
From what I hear, it's going to be 4K 30.
Yo.
You know, you know, but you know, that's 4K native.
Yeah, so it is native. Okay, so that's one more they can add to the. Oh my God! I mean, if that's the way that game is going to look, that looked like straight fucking trash, dude.
Hey, I'm gonna tell you guys now, all you guys, and I'm not, you know, at this point, my fanboy hat is off. I'm just being real with you guys, okay?
Yeah.
I said, Craig said at the beginning of the podcast, I'm going to get it day one. I'm buying not only the game, but I'm buying the system day one. That's just what I do. So I when it comes to this, I have no dog in the fight, but I'm just being realistic about it, because $500 is a lot for you guys. You know, you could, you know, just like people have said, you could get a PlayStation and a Switch for the price that you're going to spend on the X. So I'm just giving you my honest opinion about this. This is not good. This is not good. They've already canceled Scalebound and the rest of the games that they should have had. Well, this is the time. This was your year, Craig, that all of those games should have came out. Well, since they canceled all of those games like Fable, Scalebound, and you know the full what's the game that they redid it? Not Voodoo Vince, but the other game.
Halo Wars.
No. The other one that came out this year. They just they made it an HD version of it.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. Oh God, I can't think of the name of it now. But yeah, everybody thought it was going to be like
everybody thought it was going to be a remake. They were working on a remake, and then they canceled it, and then they just said, "Okay, well, we're just gonna kind of leave all the textures and everything okay, and then we're just gonna kind of you know stretch it out a little bit to 1080p and leave it there." Yeah,
shout out to the 502, the villain in the chat, and Savage Huger. It's
Phantom Dust.
They call it Dusty Phantom.
Oh man! Now you know. I forgot who said in the comment section, but earlier when you were talking, he said he made a valid point. I would have rather for them to cancel Crackdown and kept Scalebound. I knew it was having the same issues, but hell, if you're gonna throw something out there, you might as well throw something out there that everyone was looking for.
Yeah,
you know, I don't think there's millions and millions of people asking for another Crackdown.
Wow. Well, I got to make a correction from earlier on my podcast when I thought that game. I owe people an apology. I thought that game was on the Xbox One, and that's why it was looking the way it was looking. Because I'm like, there's no way they're gonna come with. There's just no way. I mean, you got to be kidding me. You know, that's what they got. All we've heard about is that, and even if the buildings, even if the whole city tears apart, if the game looks like that, who gives a shit? It looked like Grand Theft Auto, like San Andreas on the PS1 or 2. You know, like
Craig, man. I got people saying, well, that's just a single player. Wait till you see the multiplayer. It's gonna be way better. When have you known a game better on the multiplayer than it did the single player? If anything, games will look better on the single player.
Yeah.
And then, you know, typically most games, we look at a game like Halo or, you know, any other game, the multiplayer always, they focus on the frame rate and they lower the textures, they lower the resolution and stuff because you want the fast pace. So they compromise on the multiplayer, but the single player, they'll make it 30 frames and increase the fidelity in the textures. That's typically what it does. So if this is the single player, this is how that single player look. Imagine a multiplayer. That's gonna look even worse.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, even if the city blows apart, which is fine, if it looks like that, who gives a shit? It may look better when the city's destroyed.
Yeah. And you know
that thing looked like garbage. I mean, oh my god, they've got to do better. That's all I can say.
Yeah, if you go back and watch that mixer, this past weekend, watch when Major Nelson was, letting these drunk people play this game. The chick was shooting at the windows, man. There was no glass physics. There was no nothing breaking. And I was like, wait. Did they just skimp out on all the physics? I knew the multiplayer was supposed to have, but here's the thing. Microsoft has been very quiet about this cloud. So we're thinking there's this cloud-powered multiplayer portion of the game that's going to be, but I honestly, Craig, I'm going to go out on a limb here. I'm going to say there is no cloud. There is what you see is what you get. There's not going to be any damage model that resemble anything we saw from the tech demo. There is not going to be any of that, whether it's on the X or the Xbox One. And that's just what it is. I think Microsoft kind of found out that it's not that easy to implement the cloud like that. That's why they weren't the inventors of it. That's why other companies haven't did it. If it was that easy and it could have been done, I think Sony would have been done it, and other companies would have been done it. Hell, the damn PC would have been, have done it. But it's just not that easy, and I think they kind of got ahead of themselves, and now they're gonna have to pay that price.
I tell you what, I'm sitting here looking at it because I have an Xbox S, and I'm thinking, all right, maybe it can't look like. I mean, all right, I bet it's kind of like maybe that's an alpha or a late alpha, early beta game. But the people were trash. I mean, somebody direct messaged me and said, look, everybody was drunk. But that's disappointing as hell. I mean, the people that are going to early adopt the console, that's bad. I mean, that's
Craig. Craig, this is August already, man. I mean, think about it. We got another week in this month. It's going to be August. This game is launching in about 2 months. There is, a little bit over 2 months. There's no major change that's going to happen. I hate to say it. You don't show somebody the shittier version of a game right before launch. That just don't happen, especially when you're trying to sell a console. I think it is what it is. Shout out in the chat section, Ryan Landis. He said it best. He said he feels like there's a dark cloud over the Xbox. It's like Microsoft just can't shake that dark cloud. They keep either putting their foot in their mouth or they keep messing up royally. And I think I told you this. I also said on the Greatness podcast, I think it's time for a change in management on the executive level. I know a lot of Xbox guys have been pussyfooting around saying that. They've been saying, "Oh, I think the marketing team has to go. I think we need to change the marketers or this guy or that guy." But they just do not want to say we need leadership change.
Well, let me ask you.
A true leader. Go ahead.
Let me interrupt you. Let me ask you. All right, Phil Spencer has a boss, right? Mm-hmm. And if his boss is saying that the future of Xbox, not Microsoft, the future of the Xbox within Microsoft is going to be service based.
Mm-hmm.
I think they delivered on that notion as far as them getting more money, subscribing and stuff like that. Let's say they made $1 billion or something like that. It was nothing to sneak at.
Mm-hmm.
And that was all based on services, based on because the software is not selling. They haven't put shit out. But,
exactly.
That's Xbox Live, games with Go.
EA Access.
Whatever it's called. EA Access.
Game Pass, yeah. All of the services, these guys are they're raking in the dough. But here's the thing, okay, Craig, all of you guys in the chat, everyone here, you know, me and Craig, we give zero fucks about services. We care about games. Yeah. Look at Nintendo. These guys don't even have voice chat. They don't even have a proper online structure. And their system is, you can't even get your hands on it. What does that tell you? People don't care. I mean, obviously it's great to have as an, you know, as an additive. It adds value, but nobody wants to go out and buy the budget box. Nobody wants to buy a, you know, yeah, let me go buy this budget version of this. No, you want the best version. You want your money's worth. So you selling me a box full of services when I have no games, then guess what? That makes you a non-gamer. So us gamers, we want to play games. You know, if Microsoft today, if they stripped the Xbox One X of all of its services and delivered on the games, that system would sell hand over fist because people only care about the games. That's the number one priority. Microsoft, it seems like, and I don't even know if I can even say that they've always been gamer focused. They're a service company. That's just what they do. Yeah. They're a software company that make Windows. They make Microsoft Office. They make server software, cloud servers, data centers. That's what they do. That's their bread and butter. They are dabbling in our hobby of choice in the industry that we love, the gaming industry. They're dabbling in it to get more sales from the software and the cloud side and sell you services. If I subscribe to EA Access, if I subscribe to Game Pass, to Xbox Live, eventually, what do you call it? Once it comes out of beta, the Mixer, there's going to be a charge for it. That's 4 items. And if you charge me $10 a piece, that's $40 a month just for services. At that cost, Craig, who cares if there's any games? They're making more money off of the services than they will some guy buying a game 2 or 3 times a year, because they haven't even released anything but 2 games this whole year so far. Facts. So these are just I'm just giving you reality.
Yeah. Well, I mean, oh man, I mean, all right. So if that's all right, so if Crackdown, that's the finished product, and do we now care what it does at Gamescom? I mean, honestly, are we just going to buy something else?
Look, again, it goes back to what I said in the beginning, Craig. Us gamers, we're looking for the silver lining. We are looking for something positive out of this. We know what it is, but we refuse to believe that this can keep happening over and over and over again. We refuse to believe that they've been working on this game for 4 or 5 years, and this is the end result. We refuse to believe that. So guess what? Gamescom is going to come, and then we're going to get disappointed. We'll be right back here podcast and talk about it. People be right back in the chat. People, in the Xbox community be fighting. And then guess what? Tokyo Game Show, whenever that comes out or whatever gaming event comes out, we'll be saying, wait to this. It's all. Have you ever noticed? It's always wait to E3. Now it's wait to Gamescom, and then it's going to be wait to holiday, and then it's going to be wait to E3 again. It's this cycle. When are we going to say it is what it is? And I just don't think us gamers are ready to throw in the white flag. I just don't yet. I think we refuse to believe what's happening.
Yeah, well, let me give a shout out to 2 Xbox guys, a Musclebound Gamer, who had a real, and you all go check out his channel. He had a good podcast today as far as it was an upload. I still don't know how to do uploads yet because I don't record video. I don't have the capture software. But he had a good on how he's going to change his channel. And another shout out to PTK Blam. He has a good podcast too. This for people who are Xbox gamers who don't want to fuck around with the bullshit. So and they're just talking games. So so you all can go sub to them. But let's talk about the Xbox gamer, the man with the million, a man that I've had on, who's gracious enough to come on my podcast, and I've been on different podcasts with, Randall Thor. And shout out to Randall Thor. I gave him an invite to this podcast, but he looks to be getting, as we say on Black Twitter, and is getting drugged right now. I mean, he's getting dragged by the Xbox, not by the Xbox guys. Just to keep this 100 here, there are people. There's a civil war at this point, like the Captain America Civil War at the airport. There's a civil war going on right now in the Xbox community, and I'm talking Randall Thor is getting slammed. Tim Dog is getting slammed.
Yeah. The cream of the crop Xbox guys are getting beat up by
I know.
I don't even know what do you call those guys underneath them? You know, what do you call those guys? The audience,
the people who don't play. You know,
the Netflix watchers.
Yeah,
oh man, this has been a mess. This last couple of days, Craig, man, it's been wild. It's been wild, and and one thing I noticed, the PlayStation guys have not said anything about this. They've, normally they'll start teasing and poking and prodding, but I think at this point, it's to a point where it's not even funny anymore. When you have Rand and you have Tim Dog, Tim Dog, that's my boy. Shout out to my boy Tim Dog. When you have Xbox guys thrashing him for speaking out on how ugly Crackdown is, and on how Microsoft doesn't seem to realize how important this game is, and how they're being portrayed as not caring, and the executive staffs are being buffoons and act like they don't have a dog in the fight. That's a problem. So they're basically telling Tim Dog, hey man, you're being too rough, and just wait till games come. Just, if you keep talking like this, we're gonna have to kick you out. And I mean, seriously, just
kick you out of what?
Hey man, this whole crazy, the mafia guys, the X-Men, I call them. They don't play, man. They'll come for you. They'll do whatever. But Tim Dog, he gave his honest opinion about it. He said Microsoft should have never let that video come out. They should have never let a bunch of drunk celebrity non-gamers play the game. All they had to do was let the developers come out and talk about the game. They're the people who made the game, but we have heard zero from the developers.
Yeah.
Do you think Yoshida would let just throw any person out there, just throw a name out there, some celebrity?
Oh hell,
Brad Pitt. I'm just
Brad Pitt.
Do you think Yoshida's finna let Brad Pitt come out there and play drunk The Last of Us 2? As hey, this is, your fans are asking, hey, where is this game? Where is this? When are we gonna see it? And the gameplay that you show is a drunk Brad Pitt to this. I mean, seriously. So basically, it's like they're not taking it serious. And Tim Dog got pissed about it. He said his opinion on Twitter, and the guys attacked him for it. Well, now, now you got Rand, and all he was doing is stating his opinion. He said, I hate to say it, but what we saw is not impressive. It's not going to sell. We know it before it even hits the shelf. And I say this a lot too with games. We know what games are going to sell, and we know what's not. We know what game is going to flop before it releases or not. We know it. We talk in the community. We're on Twitter. We're on YouTube. We know where that interest lies. I can tell you this past weekend, everybody and their mom was playing Splatoon 2. That's just kind of what they were doing, because we knew that game was going to sell like juggernauts.
Yeah.
We know what's going to hit and what's going to miss.
Yeah, that thing's moving. So huge in esports too, by the way. That's a huge game in esports.
Definitely. Man, I tell you, I played more of that game than I've played. I don't even think I turned my Xbox or my PlayStation on this weekend. I mean, I've been hitting that hard and heavy. But again, you having a game like Crackdown, and it's graphically, it's not good. They're not showing the multiplayer, and now it's looking like we've been bamboozled. And now the head Xbox guys are speaking out about this because now they're fed up. Okay, you can only damage control for so long. It's been, what, 3-4 years now? At what point is it time to start producing? If you are a Xbox fanboy, not a gamer now, but an Xbox fanboy as your only console and the only one that you will ever play on, it's time for you to face reality. And then I think, Tim Dog, I think he's finally coming around, and Rand, he finally came around. He finally got a PlayStation 4, so he's been playing that hard and heavy. So now there's alternatives, and he's seeing a shortfall. And then Microsoft is not making any better. That's why I say the Xbox executive staff has to go. They have to go crazy.
He's talking about Phil Spencer and Major
Nelson, Aaron Greenberg. Those three are the most guys that are on Twitter and YouTube. Those are the face of Xbox. I hate to say it. These are not attractive guys. These do not bring gamers to your channel. Okay, go and get iJustine. Go and get the chick from IGN. Go and get the chick from Star Wars. Get and it doesn't even have to be a chick. Just get some younger gamers in there. You got a bunch of old guys that are 50s, 60s, pushing 70 years old. It's just, it makes Xbox uncool. Xbox is not cool. Microsoft itself as a company has never really been cool.
Yeah. Well, I mean, somebody in the chat, shout out to the D Veranda. He's saying bring Peter Moore back. But
Peter Moore has his dream job.
Yeah, he's not leaving. I mean, they throw enough money at anybody, he might. But yeah, look. Peter Moore knew he couldn't go toe to toe with Sony. That's why they always staggered they had to get their stuff out, So, but it's I did not realize how bad Twitter was, but I mean, man, people are getting drugged. I mean, it's just bad. I mean, it's like, my God. I mean, it's Twitter. It is Twitter, But I just don't get what the hell. I don't know what they expect people to do. They can't blame the media.
Yeah.
They can't say, well, it's Xbox exclusive, therefore people, because it's going to be on PC as well.
Yeah.
So what I saw, what they were playing, I'm like, man, that looks like dog shit. What is this? It looks like a PS1 game.
I hear you. Hey, Marcus, shout out to Marcus Jacks in the comment section. He said Yoshida is older than Phil Spencer. That's true. But here's the difference, okay? The only people from Xbox that you see are who? Phil Spencer, Aaron Greenberg, and Major Nelson. That's why I said they are the face. Yoshida, you rarely see that guy. Sean Layden, you only see that guy at PlayStation Experience and E3. You don't see these guys all the time. They're not always giving interviews. They're not always doing this. They let the developers do it themselves. They say, hey, here's the stage. This is your product. Go and talk about it. Go and do this. Go and do that and display it. The games speak for themselves.
Facts. Which is amazing that here we are. They said it's never been about power. It was about the games. Then they said it's about power. Now what are they doing? They're damage controlling the game. Because it's pucker time.
And then Craig, to add on with that, remember they said single player games. It's not about single player games. It's all about multiplayer games, and they've been trying to backtrack that. They've been contradicting themselves so much, and then that goes back to what I said about Microsoft and the Xbox division. Right. They haven't found their footing yet. They're still searching. You know, it's kind of like that lonely chick. She doesn't have a man. And I'm using, you know, shout out to Craig. I'm using one of his analogies here. Classic. It's kind of like that chick. You know, she doesn't have a man. She's out there she's out there searching for him, Mr. Right, and this and that, but she hadn't quite got herself together and figured out what she really wants. And that doesn't instill confidence from investors, which are the gamers. If I feel like you don't have confidence in yourself, why should I have confidence in you?
Facts.
Why should I spend my money if you don't even know what the hell you're gonna do? One week you say you want games, the next you don't. Once it's all about the services, and then next you won't. Then it's about exclusives, and then the following week, no, it's about third parties. I don't have time for that. I'm just gonna go with this over here. They're stable. I know what they're gonna get. They don't waffle, and I know the future is what it is. Microsoft, on the other hand, you just don't know what they want, what they stand for, what they. You know, we all know what they need to do. They need to create games. The problem is, like Phil Spencer said, it's going to take 2 to 3 years to get some games that are, you know, first party. And you don't get any extra credit for that. That comes on any platform.
Yeah. Well, I just don't I don't get the I just don't understand
the infighting, Craig. The infighting.
Yeah, I don't know why in the world they are literally just. It's like they're acting like because it's coming out, it has to. They have to support it. It's what it feels like. They're saying to people, "Hey, look, no matter what they do, you got to support it. And if you are going to consume the product, you have every right to talk about the product. Like, hey, look, now you said you're getting it. Now, are you getting the Xbox One X because that's what you do? Or
yes.
Are you getting it because you're obviously you're excited about getting it? You'll be in line at 11 o'clock and midnight launch.
No. I'm gonna tell you this now. I'm not standing outside anybody's line. If I walk into the store and they just so happen have one sitting there, I'll feel like I guess I'll get this thing. That's where I'm at now emotionally with this console. It's one of those. Well, shit. I guess I'll get this damn thing, and and then I'll take it and throw it in the back of the trunk. I'm not even gonna set it all nice and neat. I'm gonna just throw it back there. That's how I'm feeling about this console. But that's just my thing. I buy all consoles and I play on all consoles, and I keep them. I don't trade them in or anything like that. And even if I only get 2 days of play out of that thing and it sits in the closet somewhere collecting dust, it is what it is. I go back to that earlier comment in the comment section when the guy said, it's like a black cloud is over Microsoft, and they just can't shake it. They just can't do it right. It's like, it's just like that one child that keeps fucking up, that just can't get right.
Yeah. Well, I mean, to me, there's I think I know what happened, honestly, because I had a 360, and it even though towards the end of the last 40 months of the 360, Microsoft really didn't put out a whole lot of exclusive content. They just didn't, but they gave us a feeling that it was third-party games, but we were getting all the support, like, Grand Theft Auto 4, Grand Theft Auto 5, those were multiplats, okay? Yeah. But it just felt like those were Xbox games. Call of Duty, again, Call of Duty was on the PlayStation 3.
Yeah.
PlayStation 3, but it just felt like, Mass Effect, BioShock, games like that were multiplat, and it just gave, I really thought about it today because I still consider the 360 and the PS2, kind of neck and neck. I prefer the gaming library on the PlayStation 2 is unmatched, but the 360 had real good experiences as well, especially if you were getting into RPGs, games like Jade Empire and Mass Effect, Witcher 2, stuff like that. Final Fantasy finally came over, but it just feels like at this generation, what the people are really saying is what happened, because last generation we had, even though those are third-party games, we had a feeling of a first-party, the way it felt like a first party. That's why what I'm getting out of the Xbox community is, they're going to make these games look and run better because that's what they did last generation. That's ultimately what it's coming down to, is that last gen Grand Theft Auto 4 and 5 ran better on the Xbox, so BioShock ran better on the Xbox. So,
I agree with Ryan in the comment section. Here's the thing, Craig. Okay. Being good enough is not enough. It's not enough just to run the same games that you've been having for the last 4 years a little bit better. It's not enough for me to spend $500. Think about it. Most of these games didn't sell the first time. If I didn't buy, what's a game? Sunset Overdrive. If I didn't buy Sunset Overdrive on the Xbox One when it ran in, 900p or whatever, what makes you think I'm going to buy that game just because it's in 4K, just because it's upscaled to 4K? It's they just don't have the quality of games that the competition has had. That's the problem. It's quality of games. Microsoft needs to have a standard. They need to set, like Nintendo had, the quality control where, hey, this guarantee you that this game is not broke, it plays well, and this reaches our caliber of gameplay. You just can't have shit on top of shit that's just releasing and then expect millions and millions to go out and buy it. That's what happened this generation. Now you can go back and people say, yeah, we had a ton of games. We had Rise, we had Sunset Overdrive, we had this, we had that. But guess what? Those games did not sell enough to even get a sequel. So they couldn't have been that good. And then everybody that says that, they're going to say, well, I bought it. Well, guess what? One of you guys are lying.
Yeah.
Because if all of you guys that are saying you bought it, shit, you would have had over 1 million copies. But no, these games only sold like 200,000, 300,000, 400,000 copies. And, if you don't hit that 1 million mark these days, that's kind of like the benchmark in order for a game to get a sequel. You have to hit at least 1 million. And I don't know, man. And this what scares me the most. We can lie to ourselves in the Xbox community. You guys, all my Xbox dudes, you can lie. You can ignore the fact that Microsoft is failing. The Xbox is failing. I don't care how much money they're making on services. But when that report came out, showed that they were getting outsold 3-1 for the whole 4 years, not just a month, not just a year, but for the whole 4 years, 3-1, Craig, 3-1. Yeah.
I saw it. I didn't believe it. I was going to ask you, does that mean, do you think that the 30 million, 32 million number was just, that's the number they shipped? Because you generally want to be anywhere from 4 to 6 million so you don't get backed up. So you got a surplus out there. So do you think that number was this? Because they're at 26.3 million.
Well, that was the estimate.
I got that number confirmed.
That was estimated 26 million. Here's the thing about that, okay? Microsoft stopped giving numbers after 14 million. That's when you knew Sony was too far gone, at 14 million. That was the last amount shipped numbers that they reported, okay? After that, it stagnated. So if Sony, it depends on how you want to look at the number, whether it's shipped or in homes. In homes, Sony should be sitting around 60 to 62 million consoles. And that was months ago when they finally said that. So that was earlier part of the year. So let's say Sony is sitting at 65, 66 million shipped. That means you have 2 or 3 million consoles sitting in the stores, in the warehouse somewhere, but it's been bought from them. So it doesn't matter. Once it leaves their warehouse, they don't care whether it's sitting on the store shelf collecting dust or whatever. So let's just say Sony's sitting at 60 million. I'm going to keep an even number.
Yeah.
If they've outsold Xbox One 3-1, Craig, That's 33%. That means Microsoft is sitting roughly around 20 to 22 million consoles.
Right.
That's 3-1. So they've had 4 years to sell this console. Yeah. They haven't even broke out of the 30 million. They haven't even broke half of what the PlayStation is. And here's the thing about it. They're not catching up. Each month they're selling less and less. And guys, don't argue and try to use that excuse. Oh, everyone's waiting on the X. For 2 years, you've been waiting. You mean to tell me you didn't buy any Xbox because you're waiting for the Xbox One X or the Scorpio for 2 years? Get out of here. Get out of here. Come on now. This is just me making my point, but the numbers are what they are. The stats are where they are. And without any games, how can you possibly expect your systems to fly off the shelf? That's the $1 million question. How do you expect to sell this game without any games? Now, people want to say, oh, he says hey, Xbox do have games. Yeah, they have games.
Yeah.
But all of their games are, years old. Nobody cares about the recent games because they didn't buy Halo Wars 2. They didn't buy, the Phantom Dust or the Voodoo Vince or whatever. They didn't. Those are the only games they released this year.
Yeah, well, you're right. I mean, Halo Wars was actually a fun game. And the first Halo Wars sold over 1 million. So
but this one sold less than 200,000. So, and that was on PC.
Yeah.
Too. So
I agree. That was terrible. I mean, that's bad. I mean, I recommend everybody that has an Xbox One go play Halo Wars. But yeah, I get it. You can't go online and shoot the Arbiter and all that kind of. I get all that, but that's the original Halo code. So like the people who are Halo fans, you should be playing that game. That's the original sourced Halo code. And what we're playing with Master Chief and Locke and all those guys, that's a hack, meaning that they hacked it so that those guys at Bungie hacked the game to do what it's doing.
Yeah.
And they kept that same code when they did Destiny. But I just don't understand why they feel. I get why they feel. I didn't understand why they would say, like I see stuff today, they're still damage controlling Destiny 2 about it being 4K native because Digital Foundry said it might be possible. Well, okay, that's always been, it's always been capable of doing it. It's just a matter of, will they do it? And so far, Bungie's not going to do 4K native on Destiny for them. It's not been announced. I mean, I'll be the first one to tell you. As soon as that game comes out, they say, hey, looks going to be 4K native on the Xbox X. I'll be like, oh, yeah, it's going to be 4K native. So here we go.
But Craig, and not to cut you off, is it enough? Okay. Was the resolution the reason the game didn't sell?
Destiny?
In any of these games?
Or just
did
no, they just didn't buy the game.
Exactly. But that's what I'm asking. The reason they didn't buy this game, was that because of resolution? That's the point I'm trying to make. Just because you make these games 4K, that does not make people say, oh, okay, it's 4K now. Now I'm going to go buy it. Now there's going to be this big resurgence of game buying. No, that just didn't happen. So it's like people waiting for new stuff. They're not. I don't care. If I didn't care for Halo 5 2 years ago, what makes you think I'm going to go out and buy Halo 5 just because it comes on a 1X? I tell anybody, I still play my State of Decay, one of the ugliest games graphically on the Xbox. I have it both on the PC and the Xbox One S. But it has intriguing gameplay. All it needed was a multiplayer, which the new one is going to have. So I'm waiting for that game. I'm really sad that it's been pushed to next year. But to tell you the truth, that's the only game that I even care about on the Xbox One X. The rest of them, since I have a Pro, and I'm just gonna stick with it. Yeah, but I'm not going to go out and buy a game specifically saying, "Oh, okay, it's 4K here," because that same game is going to be 4K on the Pro. So you're not really selling me. I'm looking for Microsoft to sell me this console, and none of their excuses are working. It does the same thing, maybe with a little bit higher texture or whatever, but is it enough for me to make a difference? Probably not, since I game on PC. If I game on PC, everything 4K 60 ultra textures all the time, nothing is going to shock me. Now, maybe for the guys who've only owned the Xbox One, it's probably going to be a night and day difference to those guys. They probably hadn't seen anything better. So,
yeah, and I really hope at Gamescom because I don't know where else Microsoft can show have a venue big enough where they can show a game running on the S and it running on the Xbox X. I mean, whether that be the driving game, the Forza game, or Gears. I mean, they're gonna have to really Microsoft's Coalition is gonna have to push that Gears build. They gotta get that out almost early next year now. So,
well, Gears is still a great looking game, man. So it wasn't too shabby on the Xbox One S.
Yeah.
So
that platform,
yeah. Again, I've played it, I've beat it. What incentive, Craig, do I have to go out and spend $500 on the console to play it again, just in 4K? Wow. You see, you're telling people to go spend $500 just to play the same shit they've already played and beat before. What kind of sense does that make?
Yeah. Well, I don't. You're right. What they're hoping, it sounded like, is what it seems like they were hoping is, because the games are going to look better, people are just going to automatically flock over and leave their ecosystem. We've said that no, that's not going to happen. I mean, leave it for what? For maybe two. Maybe. I mean, there's Ark. The Ark game is multi-plat. They have announced that it will be better on the Xbox, but right now, nothing else has been announced. Yeah. That, to my knowledge, has not been announced. Now, when it announces, hey, look, I'll do a podcast on it. I got no problem doing a podcast on it. But man, I mean, I'm blown away by it. I mean, Xbox guys, because they're disappointed and they're voicing some concern. I mean, they're consumers, they're concerned, and that's crazy for them to be getting, hated on. And granted, it's not a ton. It's not the majority of people, but it's kind of like they shouldn't even be going through it at all. It's their opinion, and it's their money ultimately. So, wow, I certainly hope that calmer heads prevail. It's disappointing, disappointing.
It is, but that's what happens, man. When when you're not getting any games, and when stuff just doesn't sit right, you can't hold your tongue. People, even the most diehard people, they have to speak their piece, and some people just don't want that to happen. They feel like, oh well, Rand said this. Now millions of people are not going to go buy the X because Rand said this. It's like, no, the people that were going to buy that system are the ones who still going to buy it, and the ones who don't care about it, they were never going to buy it anyway.
Yeah. I mean, you won't see me with one until, like Phil Spencer said, they got games coming out in 2 to 3 years. And y'all see you in 2 to 3 years. God willing, I'm still alive. I mean, according to Phil Spencer, he knows more than anybody because he's in charge. He knows what's in the pipeline. And I'll just wait for that pipeline because they can say the game's enhanced. And all that means is that it's going to run over 1080p. So it may run 1200, 1400. It's boost mode. I've told people, look, that's boost mode on the PlayStation. Exactly. So it's, and I'm not here to say that. I mean, I don't know what the game's going to look like. I always say to people, wait for the studios to come out and tell you what something's going to be. I mean, that's all you got to do. It's not that difficult. Just sign up for their free letters. What are those things called? Like newsletters. Just sign up for that. News alerts. Yeah, they'll tell you.
Yeah.
Let you know what those games are going to be doing and not doing. It's just
the problem, Craig, and I'm just make this little small point. Here's the problem with the Xbox One X and its launch timing. It's going to be running, neck and neck with Mario Odyssey with a game. You're talking about a console versus a game this holiday season. And this game, to even just have that conversation, saying that there's going to be a game to come out around the same time frame as a brand new console, and the console may have a hard time selling because of this game, that can only be the juggernaut that is Mario. That can only be that game. Only Mario can make you push your console launch back a little bit to keep from going neck and neck with that. I hate to say it, but come holiday season, people let's say everyone has $500 to spend.
Yeah,
they're gonna have to choose a system that barely gets any new first party content. Okay. And and you get a bunch of backlog stuff, or you get a brand new system, which is the Switch, at a cheaper price. Shit, you're able to buy a bunch of games and amiibos all at the same time. And I don't know, but if you think that you can't get your hand on a console now, imagine come holiday time after Black Friday and all these other deals that's going on.
Yeah, it's just something. Shout out to Jimmy B Gaming. He said something today because he said, really think about it. All right, Assassin's Creed Origins, the Xbox X bill is going to be the same as the Pro bill. Now that's according to Ubisoft.
Yeah, that's a fact.
Yeah, so if the Xbox X comes out November 7th, so it still tracks for November 7th, and that game comes out like October 20th or something like that, October 17th. Do you think people are going to wait?
Yep.
Or are they just going to go buy the game? They're going to go buy the game.
Yep.
What do you think people are going to do?
If you buy, Craig, if you go out right and buy on your Xbox One, your Xbox One S, if you go out and buy this Assassin's Creed on that console and you play it and you beat it, and then a month later, the Xbox X comes out, will you go and spend $500 just to play that game that you already bought again, but at a higher fidelity and resolution and textures? Is that enough?
I'm not, but everybody's different, but I don't see myself ever doing anything like that. Like I said, the only game that I considered doing that for was Mass Effect. And again, if I had a computer that could hold, I guess, was it a GTX 1070? Because that's the card they recommended. That's what I would have went out and tried to get, but it was kind of like we needed a new Blu-ray because the LG Blu-ray was acting silly. It was not doing what it needed to do. And I had the Xbox One S out here, but I'm like, we were going to put something else in the bedroom. Now I switched it up, so that's another story. But that's just kind of, I just don't get it. I can't. I don't. Me personally, I think the Xbox One S outsells it this holiday season. But who knows? I mean, maybe they'll have some kind of bundle deal or something like that. It's they're gonna have to do something different. That's all I can say. I'm not here to say they can't. I'm just here to say I don't know what else they can pull out. I mean, $399 for what I saw, it was worth $399. I mean, they showed a handful of games that are exclusives, but all those games they were showing, 90% of their conference was multi-plat games. And they were indies. And granted, okay, I gave them a hand. You got to give them a point for reaching out to the indies because those games, the indie games, did look cool. Code Vein looks real cool, So, but that's a multi-plat game. That's according to the.
Now that's one thing. That's one thing they finally learned from Sony is how to leverage those indies and how indies help keep your system from being dry year long. So when your system start collecting dust, people start looking elsewhere. They start going, they start buying stuff on their iPhones and their iPads, or they start looking at, the competition system, seeing what everybody's playing over there. So I can guarantee you there's a lot of Xbox guys that sit around, I always ask my Xbox friends, hey man, what are you playing? Oh man, we got plenty to play. We're over here playing Halo. We're playing Rise. We're playing Sunset over. All of these old ass games. Some of them are launch games. I'm like, you can't still be playing that damn game. Come on now.
Yeah, well, Rise was the first game they showed on the new console. Rise was the first game. And I had to remember that because I thought it was Forza. Somebody said no, it's Rise. He's in this order. He said it was Metal Gear. They showed Metal Gear first.
So
they showed Rise. They showed Metal Gear. Then they showed Forza. Because when they showed the Forza game, at that point, when they showed that orange car, this is in 2013, come out of the ground.
the McLaren P1.
Yeah, I'm like, oh, I'm buying this console. I'm going to buy this. And then when it said $500, I heard that Price is Right Lose song. I'm like, oh, wait a minute, I can't do no $500. I mean, that was in 2013, so I'm not going to do $500 now. And it's because it's 2017, you know. So they $399. That's why there was so much. There were so many people, I think, that were hoping for $399. And had it been $399, I could have at least put it in kind of, you know, one of those things on the back. You know, kind of like, all right, well, you know, if I've got that and I'm maybe, you know, but $499, that's a turnoff. Like, no, you can get a new TV. You can get a good TV, not something cheap. You can get a good 4K if you want that TV. You get a 1080p TV. You can do a lot of shit with $500. I mean, hell, you can go to friggin' Myrtle Beach for 3 days.
Exactly.
You know, for $480, for $438, I think. You know.
Well, so, like Michael Pachter said, man, you can get you a PlayStation and an Xbox One S and go buy you some games for that cost. It's just I don't know, man. Especially here's another big thing, Craig. A lot of people are kind of soured on with $500. They had to buy the Xbox One for $500. Yeah. And how did that turn out? So now people are reluctant to spend $500 in hoping that the X turns out, especially knowing when the head guy is saying, hey, don't expect any of these big AAA exclusives or anything like that for another 2 to 3 years. You know, you got to give him the side eye. At least he was warning you on it.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, to me, Phil Spencer saying 2 to 3 years, that's fine for me because he knows more than any of us. Yeah, I'm thinking, all right, in that much time, if I can walk in there and that system is, you know, $329 or something like that, or $299. Again, I don't get the initial rush of that being an early adopter. Fine. I'll have to trade that out for saving money and getting more content. So, I mean, especially if they're really going to make another Xbox, let's just say that's actually true. Then I'll just wait on that. You know what I'm saying? I'll be like, well, I may have enough money then to get the new Xbox. So,
let's face it, Craig. I mean, these guys are saying that to make their investors happy. So they're saying it like everything is all good. But from what we saw from the sales numbers for the last 4 years, it paints a total different picture. So if we can all assume if this X does not do what it needs to do, it's going to be a hard time trying to justify with, you know, the head guy, especially since they're a services company now. It's going to be really hard to justify a new console.
Yeah, I mean, to me, that's what they're all about. I mean, if you really think about it, if you get an Xbox One S or whatever, an Xbox One, and then you get the EA access and the Gamers Pass, okay, you have access to a decent library, and you can go ahead and download those games and stuff like that. And so that, you know, but those are services that you need. And eventually those are going to be apps. Eventually EA is going to make an app and put on television sets, you know, for their games. That's the next step in where we're going. So, oh my God, I'm just shocked about Crackdown. Honestly, I got to keep it 100. So.
Yeah, I was, you know, I don't know. And then they released that screenshot, Craig, of Terry Crews's character, and it looks really good.
Yeah,
but then
that's all for PC.
That's a CGI that's a CGI build for his showing that they made from his character. That is not anybody's gameplay. It doesn't matter. You can buy this Crackdown 3 on PC. It's not going to look any better than what you saw. It was playing on the 6 teraflops X. Don't expect, your PC to play it the art style, the graphics, the gameplay, it is what it is.
Yeah.
If you didn't like what you're seeing, then
yeah.
it's time for us to just be realistic about the situation. Again, I'm gonna get it, but it is what it is. Let's just stop messing around with it. I think the consensus, even from the Xbox community, is the game just was not. It was not what it was supposed to be.
Yeah, and again, that's living up to the console wasn't what it was supposed to be, according to a lot of them. We pretty much hit it out of the park on where it was going to be, but a lot of them had that thing in a different section. But bro, yeah, we've been at it. We've been here for an hour and a half, and I can go ahead and we'll start closing it down. Let me give a big shout out again to Randall Thor. That's the homie. I certainly hope cooler heads prevail. And your homie Tim Dog, I know you talked to him on Twitter and stuff like that. And they're getting drugged, folks. So give them some support. Give them some kind of support. Do something for those guys. And like I said, guys like Musclebound. These are Xbox guys. Musclebound Gamer. A big shout out to him and PT.
I saw his video today.
Yeah, so just people gotta, Grim Kampachi. I mean, these are guys that actually want to just play the games. Kid Smooth's Damage Control. And shout out to all you guys. I mean, it is what it is. But and shout out to you guys in the chat and for being here and asking questions. And I've seen the comments; it's pretty funny. So my favorite comment so far this year has been about Kingdom Hearts 3 when somebody said that in order for it to sell well on Xbox, they need to give the characters machine guns. And then the Xbox community will go buy it. So
facts.
Give them machine guns and racing cars. So, but yeah, Kratos, brother, man, thanks for being here. Go ahead and give yourself a big shout out.
Definitely, thanks for having me.
So,
hey, you guys know who it is. It's Kratos, the god of PlayStation, kicking it with my man Craig here again. Thanks for having me, brother. And you guys can, always catch me on Twitter at JDubCity16. Always keeping you laugh with the memes and the gifs. Keeping stuff started. Again, I'm a gamer. I have and I play and I own all consoles, so it doesn't really matter for me. I like teasing, poking, and prodding. That's just what I do. And you guys can catch me on my YouTube channel where I have Kratos Presents The Underground. We will have one episode this Thursday, and special guests will be there, so you guys make sure you tune in to see that. I'm also on the Greatness podcast with my man Wolf. So you guys definitely, find that and, come check us out. You'll find something you like. And before I say anything else, guys, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button for my man Craig. He's doing big things in the YouTube community. He's on both sides of the aisle, so you can't point fingers and call him a fanboy for nothing. So, anyway, go ahead, Craig.
Yeah, I was about to say, I appreciate that. This is, like I said, this is the PorchLYTE podcast with, Craig Harris coming at you. Another podcast, the man of little means, but extremely big heart. So with this podcast, and the mom is flipping the PorchLYTE on, and we guys have got to get into the house and go get our popsicles and grippos. So thanks for people, and hopefully we shedded some light on the Xbox Civil War. They're really going through it over there in that community. So the damage control is F5 level over there, and like I said, guys, just keep it gaming. And I understand it's fun, but there's no reason to be dragging people through the mud. But big shout out to you, Kratos, for coming on. I appreciate it all the time. Definitely looking at it as somebody who's going to physically buy something, you get a better insight. Because for me, I'm not buying one. So, but I'm disappointed in Crackdown. But hopefully they clean that shit up. like I said, it looked like a PS1 game called Destruction Derby going back in time. But guys, thanks for coming out. Yeah, hit the like button. We're over 250 subs, so we have survived the departure of Halo Storm. You know, so we have survived that. So shout out to everybody for coming out tonight, and thanks for subbing. And I'll be possibly doing something tomorrow if we get some more gaming news. So, and remember, if you go out tonight, wear white. Take it easy, guys. Craig Harris with Kratos, the god of PlayStation, on the PorchLYTE. Take it easy.